Hello, beautiful people, future me. Welcome to another programming workout of mine. Let's get into it. Typing is the first thing we do, first single time. And apparently we are doing Python, alright. Timer. Oh, come on. I'm a little bit angry about it, huh? Oh, alright. 5%. Oh well, it is what it is. Just stick with it. Oh, not upgrade. I want next lesson. And I have like 8 seconds. Oh well. Alright, so we are done with this and we will start the other timer. I will have a look in my notes and we are doing this. Custom events in Spring. I think I started with this. So Spring 9, you say. Spring example 9, alright. Rainbow brackets, whatever. Go away. Okay. So what do I do? I have the handler. Oh, what am I doing? Custom events. Okay, so yeah, so I will create a handle for my event, right? And how do I trigger my event? Well, let's say the event custom event is over here. Okay, the last place was the handler, and here I will say, oh, come on. Yep. Handler dot on application event. Maybe I'll do it like this. Yeah. And then I will do that, and I will print out the custom event. Maybe on a custom event I want a toString overridden. So I will override toString. I'll say here we will say custom event, and you go inside of that. All right, so we have that. Now how do I catch it? How do I trigger it? So here we have a custom event. So oh, there's a toString as well. Okay, then I have the publisher. Okay, so I don't think I have a, or do I? Publisher I do. Custom event, private field, set application publisher. That comes from here, I suppose. And then the publish. Okay. Now we have the custom handler. Custom handler is the, yes, the listener. And we say event toString. All right. So the handler is over here, and I have something else. So custom event toString I can say as well. Why not? It should be no different. Main app. So we create a context. Okay, from the beans, sure. Then we get the publisher. Okay. and the publisher we do publish. Okay, and here is the handler publisher. Okay, so we'll do that. Beans bean ID will be custom and publisher. Class will be com.example dot publisher. Okay, and the second bean will be the handler. Custom event handler class equal to com.example custom handler. All right, look at that. So now in the main application, I can get that. So I say application context get bean, and that will be custom event publisher, like so. I will cast it to custom event publisher, and all of it I will extract. Custom event publisher, why not? And now I say custom event publisher publish. We will do it twice. So maybe I have everything in place, so I will run it. And that does exactly that, but my handler doesn't seem to do anything. Oh, it does. The publisher does not do that. Okay, so here I say set. I say custom event publisher publish. And we'll move you here because I want print out the custom event. So if I rerun it now, it will look a little bit differently. And it print out custom event toString like that. This line doesn't look right to me, so I'll have a look at that. Custom event toString, okay, so custom event Java. Oh. Yes, okay, so we will say custom event string like so. Okay, and now I don't like the handler. I will do it like this. Custom event. Yep. Now I will rerun it. All right. example, now I'm playing just around. So what I did is create a custom event. Then I created a publisher, and then I published my custom event. Everything is extending something. So this is listener. That will be publisher, right? Publisher of where? Okay. Whatever. Okay, so we will have a look at the next thing to do because this works. So AOP, aspect-oriented programming. Okay, one of the key components of Spring Framework is the aspect-oriented programming framework. Aspect-oriented programming entails breaking down program logic to distinct parts so-called concerns. The functions that span multiple points of an application are called cross-cutting concerns, and these cross-cutting concerns are conceptually separate from the application's business logic. There are various common good examples of aspects like logging, auditing, declarative transaction, security caching, etc. The key unit of modularity in OOP is the class. Well, I will first update my nodes to reflect the reality. Okay. Okay. Whereas in AOP, the unit of modularity is the aspect. Okay. Dependency injection helps you decouple your application objects from each other, and AOP helps you decouple cross-cutting concerns from the objects that they affect. AOP is like triggers in programming languages such as Perl, .NET, Java, and others. Triggers. Okay. Spring AOP module provides interceptors to intercept an application. For example, when a method is executed, you can add extra functionality before or after the method execution. AOP terminologies. Before we start working with AOP, let us become familiar with the AOP concepts and terminology. These terms are not specific to Spring, rather they are related to AOP. Okay, so we have a bunch of them. So aspect, join point, advice, point cut, interaction, target object, weaving. And we have types of advice. Custom aspects, implementation, advice are before, after returning, after throwing around. Okay. So aspect. This is a module which has a set of APIs providing cross-cutting requirements. For example, a logging module would be called AOP aspect for logging. Logging module, so in which way module? I suppose that is not Java 9 module. That what kind of module they are talking about? Is it like package or what is it? I don't know. Okay, an application can have any number of aspects depending on the requirement. Okay, join point. This represents a point or in your application where you can plug in the AOP aspect. You can also say it is the actual place in the application where an action will be taken using Spring AOP framework. Okay. Advice. This is the actual action to be taken either before or after the method execution. This is an actual piece of code that is invoked during the program execution by Spring AOP framework. I'm still not following. Point cut. This is a set of one or more joint points where an advice should be executed. You can specify point cuts using expressions or patterns, as we will see in our AOP examples. Introduction. An introduction allows you to add new methods to attributes to existing classes. Okay, so they are not specified in a Java class, but I can somehow put it in, I guess, or attributes even. Probably. Target object, the object being advised by one or more aspects. This object will always be a proxied object, also referred to as advised project. So if we do anything with the object using the AOP, then it's called target object, if I'm reading that correctly. And then we have a weaving, and weaving stands for process of linking aspects with other application types or objects to create an advised project. I don't know what is application type. Process of linking aspects with other application objects to create an advised project. This can be done at compile time, load time, or at runtime. So this is where we can put it. This is what we do. This is what's the difference between join point and point cut. This is a set one of more join points where an advice should be executed. So point cut for an advice is okay. So we have an advice and that could be put into one or more people or more places, and that would be called point cut, I guess, if I'm reading that correctly. Next, interaction. Yeah, that's if we modify the class somehow, like by methods or attributes. That's an interaction. Target object, that's the object we are messing with, and weaving is the process doing all the things. Okay. Now we have some types of advice list. So it's before, after returning, after drawing around. So before a method execution. Okay. So I thought you are putting the advice on an object, but maybe you can do on a method. So the join point would be on a method, I think, maybe. After run advice, after method execution, regardless of its outcome. Okay. After returning, run advice after the method execution, only if method completes successfully. Okay. After throwing, so that is unsuccessfully, or well, by throwing an exception. Around is before and after the advice method is invoked. Okay. Custom aspects implementation. Spring supports. Why we are doing all of this? What is the benefit of having all those things? I'm kinda, maybe I should repeat that. Okay, Spring supports the add aspect J annotation style approach and the schema-based approach to implement custom aspects. These two approaches have been explained in detail in the following sections. Okay, so you have something to look forward. And I will modify my notes again. There we go. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We have framework overview. There's template class. Okay, so this should be like the summary of the chapter abstract. While working with database using plain old JDBC, okay, it becomes cumbersome to write unnecessary code to handle exceptions, opening and closing database connection, etc. However, Spring JDBC framework takes care of all the low-level details, starting from opening the connection, prepare and execute the SQL statement, process exceptions, handle transactions, and finally close the connection. So what you have to do is just define the connection parameters and specify the SQL statement to be executed and do the required work for each iteration while fetching data from the database. Spring JDBC provides several approaches and correspondingly different classes to interface with the database. I'm going to take classic and the most popular approach which makes use of the JDBC template class of the framework. This is the central framework class that manages all the database communication and exception handling. Okay, so we have JDBC template class. Then configuring data source, data access object, executing SQL statements, querying and returning an object, querying and returning a multiple object, inserting a row into table, deleting a row from the table, executing DLL statements. And here is some examples. So this is how to do it without the Spring JDBC framework overview. Spring transaction management. Something else. Okay, so oh well, this guy on top says that we are over the time, which means we are done. Done is better than perfect. And I will see you next time. Bye.